All right, let's dive into this, shall we? Today, it's all about biceps. Everybody wanted those bigger biceps.
Yeah, it's a popular topic for sure.
It really is. So we've got a stack of articles here. We've got bodybuilding.com's 10 best biceps exercises. And we also have Get Serious Arm Size from Muscle and Strength.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we got to throw in Healthline too, right? They have their own take on this with 8 best exercises for bigger, stronger arms.
Sounds like we've got a lot to unpack.
We do. I'm sure a lot of you out there listening have searched online for how to, build up those biceps. And I bet it's overwhelming. There's just so much information.
Yeah, absolutely. There are tons of articles and videos out there promising the best exercises and routines.
So that's what this deep dive is for, right? We're cutting through all the noise and figuring out what actually matters.
Exactly. We're going to look at what the science says, what the experts recommend, and what actually works in the real world.
Perfect. So bodybuilding.com starts off talking about the concentration curl and how it scores really high in those EMG tests, the ones that measure muscle activity.
Right. They show how much a muscle is actually working during an exercise.
Exactly. So I was thinking, does that mean it's automatically the best biceps exercise?
Well, not necessarily. High EMG activity is great, but it doesn't tell the whole story.
How so?
Well, think of it like this. You could have a car with a super powerful engine, but that doesn't mean it's the best car for city driving, right?
I see your point. So you're saying there's more to consider than just how much the muscle is firing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how easy is the exercise to perform correctly? Do you need any special equipment? Does it fit well into your overall workout routine?
So practicality matters, right?
Big time. It's got to be something you can actually do consistently and effectively.
Makes sense. So it's not just about chasing those high EMG numbers.
Nope. It's about finding what works for you, your body, and your goals.
I like that. It's about finding that sweet spot. Okay, so let's jump into some of these exercises. First up, the classic barbell curl. I mean, you see those everywhere.
For good reason, too.
Yeah. Why are barbell curls such a staple?
Well, they're great for overall bicep development. You hit both heads of the muscle, and you can usually lift pretty heavy with them, too.
Okay, so they're effective. What about for people who, find the straight bar a little uncomfortable on their wrists?
You can always swap it out for an easy bar. That slightly curved bar.
Yeah, I know the one. Does that make a big difference?
It can be easier on the wrists for some folks. Generally, both the easy bar and the straight bar are considered more effective than using dumbbells for curls, but it really comes down to personal preference. Whatever feels best for you.
So there's no right or wrong?
Not really, as long as you're using good form and feeling it in your biceps.
Got it. Now, bodybuilding.com mentions this variation called the seated barbell curl. What's special about that?
Seated barbell curls are great because they really focus on the top half of the movement, that peak contraction.
Oh, I bet that burns.
It can, for sure.
Okay, so we've got barbell curls, seated barbell curls. What's next?
Well, let's talk about cable curls. Those are another awesome option.
I see those at the gym, but to be honest, I don't always get what makes them so different from a regular barbell curl.
It's all about the tension. With cable curls, the cable keeps your biceps engaged throughout the entire set. There's no real resting point like there is with free weights.
Oh, so that's why I feel like I can't cheat as much with cables.
Exactly. You're forced to maintain control, which is a good thing.
So constant tension, got it.
Plus, with cable curls, you can get really creative with the attachments. You can use a straight bar, an easy bar. You can even do something like squatting while curling.
Okay, squatting while curling. Now that sounds interesting.
It's a great way to add an extra challenge and work on stability. It really hits those biceps.
I'll have to try that one out.
You should. It's a fun one. Now, of course, we can't forget about dumbbell curls.
Ah, the good old dumbbells. Those are classic for a reason, right?
Absolutely. They're super versatile. You can do them standing, seated, alternating arms, or even something like a Zotman curl, which also brings those forearms into play.
I love the versatility. It's easy to get stuck in a rut. So having different options is great.
Totally agree. Now, one thing I see a lot of people doing with dumbbell curls is, as they get tired, they start to swing a bit.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that myself. Just a little momentum to help get that weight up.
We've all been there. But here's a tip. Instead of focusing on just lifting the weight, really pay attention to lowering it slowly and with control.
So the eccentric phase.
Yes. And believe it or not, that eccentric phase actually generates more force than the lifting part.
Really? I didn't know that. So even when I'm tired, I should be thinking about lowering the weight slowly.
Absolutely. You're
Yeah.
making those muscles work even harder.
Interesting. It's all about those little details. Okay, what else we got?
Well, bodybuilding.com throws in chin-ups as a bicep exercise.
Chin-ups. I always thought of those as more of a back exercise.
They definitely work your back, but when you use an underhand grip, you're also hitting those biceps pretty hard.
Yeah, I can definitely feel it in my biceps when I do chin-ups. But I'll be honest, those can be tough.
They are. If you can't do a full chin-up yet, you can always modify them. You can use resistance bands or a machine to help you build up the strength.
Good to know. I'll have to work on those.
Now, here's another one that might surprise you. Reverse grip barbell rows.
Hold on. Isn't that a back exercise?
It is, but again, because of that underhand grip, you're also getting a good bicep workout, especially when you're lifting heavy.
So it's like a 2-for-1.
Exactly. Efficiency at its best.
I like it. Okay, what about hammer curls? I feel like those don't get as much love as some of the other exercises.
They should, though.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, hammer curls not only work your biceps, but they also hit a muscle called the brachialis, which sits beneath the biceps.
Okay. And what's so special about the brachialis?
Well, the brachialis actually helps push the biceps up, giving your arms a fuller, more rounded look.
Oh, so it's like the secret weapon for bigger arms.
You could say that. Now, I know you're all about those cable machines, so you'll be happy to know that cable rope hammer curls are a great option too.
I am. Why are those even better than the dumbbell version?
Again, it comes back to that constant tension the cable provides, keeps those muscles working hard throughout the entire set.
All right, I'm sold. Cable rope hammer curls it is.
Oh.
Okay, what's next on our list?
How about incline curls? Those are a classic for targeting the long head of the biceps.
Oh yeah, those are the ones that really emphasize that peak, right?
Exactly. But they also give you a fantastic stretch at the bottom of the movement, so you're getting a great range of motion.
I do love a good stretch. But I think bodybuilding.com mentioned not going too heavy with incline curls.
Yeah, that's because you're in a more vulnerable position. So it's better to use lighter weights and really focus on that full range of motion to avoid injury.
Okay, safety first.
Got it.
Got it. Now, let's circle back to the concentration curl, the EMG champ. Why does it score so high on those tests?
Well, the position of your torso during a concentration curl really isolates the biceps. It minimizes shoulder involvement, forcing those biceps to do all the work.
That makes sense. And I've noticed that with concentration curls, I can really feel that mind-muscle connection. It's almost meditative.
There's actually a lot of research now suggesting that a strong mind-muscle connection can actually contribute to muscle growth.
Wow, so it's not just about the physical movement, but also that mental focus.
Exactly. It's all connected.
Interesting. All right, what's next on the list?
We've got preacher curls.
Ah, yes, preacher curls. Another classic. What makes those so special?
Well, they offer exceptional isolation for your biceps. Your arms are supported, so you can't really cheat, and it forces you to focus on those muscles.
And the pump. I swear, the pump from preacher curls is legendary, especially on a cable machine.
Right. You get that constant tension working its magic.
Okay, last one on the list from bodybuilding.com. The drag curl. I have to admit, I've never tried those.
The drag curl is interesting. Basically, you push your elbows back as you lift the weight, keeping the bar close to your torso.
So it's a shorter range of motion.
Yeah, but it really intensifies the focus on the biceps.
I see. Bodybuilding.com says you can even do these on a Smith machine.
You can. It's a good option if you want a more controlled movement. And if you really want to up the challenge, try slowing down the negative portion of the rep, like extend it to 3 to 5 seconds.
Ooh, that sounds brutal, but effective.
It is.
Okay, so we've covered all 10 exercises from bodybuilding.com. Anything else we need to touch on before we move on to actually putting these exercises into a workout plan?
Yeah, I think the key takeaway here is that all these exercises are just tools, right? It's not about doing every single one.
So how do we know which ones to choose?
It's about experimenting, finding what feels good for your body, what you enjoy doing, and what helps you reach your goals.
I like that. It's about finding what works for me, not just following a cookie-cutter plan.
Exactly.
Okay, so speaking of plans, bodybuilding.com also outlines 3 different workout plans, right? Hard and heavy, beginner, and machine pump.
They do.
So We don't need to go into detail on each one right now, but what's the key takeaway from those plans?
I think the main point is that they all have a different focus. Some prioritize intensity, like lifting heavy weights. Others emphasize volume, so you're doing more reps and sets. And others are designed for efficiency, getting a great workout in a shorter amount of time.
So it's about choosing the plan that aligns with my goals.
Exactly. And that's what we'll dive into next.
Perfect.
All right, let's do it.
So we've got all these exercises, right? But how do I actually put them together? Make a plan.
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
Turning all this info into an actual workout that gets results.
Yeah, exactly. Where do I start?
Well, it all comes down to your goals, really. What are you hoping to achieve?
Okay, so for me, I think I want a combo of both strength and size. I want to be able to lift heavier, but also, see those biceps popping a bit more.
Makes sense. A lot of people are after that balanced approach. So you're looking for a plan that blends strength training with hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy. Okay, that's pretty intense.
It's just the fancy term for muscle growth.
Oh, got it. Hypertrophy for the win.
Exactly. So, bodybuilding.com has those 3 plans we mentioned. The hard and heavy one is all about, lifting heavy. The beginner plan is more of a starting point, if you're new to lifting. And then there's the machine pump plan, which, as the name suggests, is all about using machines to get that intense muscle pump.
I like the sound of that machine pump. But seriously, how do I choose which plan is right for me?
Honestly, the best way is to just try them out. Experiment a bit. You might start with a hard and heavy plan for a few weeks, then switch to the machine pump and see how your body responds.
So it's kind of like finding the perfect recipe.
Right.
Right. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. You got to see what ingredients work best for you.
Got it. Okay, now, I know Muscle and Strength talks a lot about supersets and trisets.
They do. That's kind of their thing.
I've heard those terms thrown around, but I'm not totally sure what they mean.
No worries. It's actually pretty simple. Supersets are just when you do 2 exercises back to back without resting in between.
Okay, so no rest.
Yep, you go right from one exercise to the next. And then trisets are the same idea, but with 3 exercises in a row.
Wow, that sounds tough. Why would you want to do that?
Well, the idea is to keep those muscles under constant tension, which is great for muscle growth. It's like giving your biceps no time to rest, pushing them to their limits.
So it's like a supercharged workout.
Exactly. And it's really time efficient, too. You can get a great workout in a shorter amount of time.
Time efficiency is always a plus. Sign me up.
Now, one example Muscle and Strength highlights is a triset for actually triceps. You would do lying triceps extensions, then immediately go into kneeling triceps exercises.
Hold on, triceps. I thought we were all about biceps today.
We are, but you can't talk about biceps without mentioning triceps.
Really? Why not?
Think about it. Your triceps make up the back of your arm, right? And they're essential for overall arm size and strength.
Okay, but I'm more interested in those bicep peaks.
I hear you, but trust me on this one. Healthline, the third source we're looking at, they really emphasize the importance of balanced arm development.
So you're saying I can't just focus on my biceps. I need to work those triceps too.
Exactly. It's not just about aesthetics either. It's about preventing muscle imbalances, which can lead to injuries.
Okay, you've convinced me. Triceps are important. What are some good exercises for those?
Well, Healthline actually suggests something you might not expect. Triangle push-ups.
Push-ups? Really?
Yeah. They claim it's one of the most effective exercises for triceps activation.
Huh. I always thought of push-ups as more of a chest exercise.
It does work your chest, but the key with triangle push-ups is the hand positioning. You make a triangle with your thumbs and index fingers.
Oh, yeah. I've seen people do those.
So creating that narrower base of support shifts more of the workload to your triceps.
Interesting. Plus, push-ups are something I can do anywhere, no gym needed. Always a plus.
Exactly. And if the full triangle push-up is too challenging, you can always modify it by doing it on your knees.
Love a good modification.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about exercises, but there's another piece of the puzzle we haven't really addressed.
What's that?
Nutrition. We can do all the curls and push-ups in the world, but if our diet isn't on point...
You're absolutely right. You can't out-train a bad diet.
I know. It's like I can crush a workout, and then I see a piece of cake, and all my willpower just disappears.
We've all been there. But seriously, nutrition is just as important as exercise when it comes to building muscle.
Okay, so preach. What are the key things I need to focus on?
Well, Healthline breaks it down pretty simply. Protein is key for muscle repair and growth. Complex carbs give you the energy to fuel your workouts. And healthy fats are important for overall health and hormone production.
Okay, so protein, carbs, and fats. Got it.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like in a meal plan?
Well, you don't need to get too crazy with it. Just try to include protein with every meal. Think chicken, fish, beans, tofu, things like that. Then prioritize complex carbs, whole grains, fruits, veggies, over those simple carbs like sugary drinks and processed foods. And don't forget to include healthy fats from sources like avocados, nuts, and olive oil.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty doable. I can work with that.
Exactly. And of course, it's always best to consult with a registered dietitian if you want personalized advice, based on your specific needs.
Good point. Okay, so before we move on, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about finding what works best for me.
Yeah, what about it?
Well, we've covered a ton of exercises and techniques today. It's kind of overwhelming. How do I know where to start?
That's the beauty of it, right? There's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's about taking this knowledge and experimenting, figuring out what resonates with your body, what you enjoy doing, and what helps you reach your goals.
I love that. It's about empowering myself, not just blindly following someone else's plan.
Exactly. The world of fitness is constantly evolving, so it's all about finding what works best for you and continuing to learn and grow.
I'm feeling inspired. All right, before we wrap up this episode, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, just remember that fitness is a journey, not a destination.
Ooh, I like that.
So be patient with yourself, enjoy the process, and don't be afraid to try new things and challenge yourself.
Love it. Okay, we're going to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question, something to ponder as they continue on their fitness journeys. But first, let's do a quick recap of everything we've covered in this deep dive into building bigger biceps.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so we started by debunking the myth that the best exercise is always the one with the highest EMG reading.
Right. It's not that simple.
We talked about the importance of practicality, finding exercises that you can do consistently and effectively. We went through a whole bunch of exercises, breaking down what makes each one unique and offering tips and variations to try.
We covered everything from barbell curls to cable curls to chin-ups.
Oh, and we can't forget about those triceps. Building balanced and strong arms is crucial, not just for aesthetics, but for overall strength and injury prevention.
And of course, we touched on the importance of nutrition, fueling those workouts with protein, carbs, and healthy fats.
Wow, we really did cover a lot of ground. This has been an awesome deep dive into the world of biceps training.
Absolutely. We've given you the tools and knowledge. Now it's your turn to go out there and put it all into practice.
All right, listeners. Here's that thought-provoking question we promised. What are some unconventional or lesser-known biceps exercises that might be worth exploring? Those hidden gems that you don't always see in the mainstream workout guides.
We've covered the classics, but there's a whole world of exercises out there waiting to be discovered. So do some research, get creative, and see what you can find.
I love that. It's like, we've given you the map, now go explore and have some fun. Those hidden gems, right? They're like those little secret spots that only the locals know about.
I like that analogy. Yeah, sometimes those lesser-known exercises can be even more effective, because they challenge your muscles in a different way.
Keeps things interesting. And speaking of interesting, do you have any, specific unconventional bicep exercises in mind?
Well, one that comes to mind is the towel curl.
Towel curl? What is that?
It's kind of cool. So you hold a towel with an overhand grip, one end in each hand, and then you drape the towel over a bar like you're setting up for a pull-up.
Okay.
And then you do a bicep curl. You pull yourself up toward the bar.
Wait, so I'm curling myself up using just a towel?
Exactly.
That sounds really challenging.
It is. It really works your grip strength and your forearms, too.
Oh, I bet. My forearms would be burning.
For sure. But that's a good thing. Grip strength is often overlooked, but it's super important.
Makes sense. Okay, towel curls. Noted. Any other hidden gems you want to share?
Let's see. Oh, another one that's becoming more popular is the fat grips curl.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those fat grips at the gym. They're kind of intimidating.
I know, right? They look intense, but they're awesome for building grip strength and really activating your biceps.
So those fat grips, they're basically just like thick rubber grips that you put on dumbbells or barbells.
Yeah, exactly. And using a thicker grip, it forces your hands and forearms to work harder, which then activates more muscle fibers in your biceps.
Interesting. It's like a small change that makes a big difference.
Exactly. It's a great way to add a new challenge to your workouts.
I like it. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the science of how muscles work to practical tips for getting the most out of our workouts. As we wrap up here, what would you say is the most important thing for our listeners to remember?
I think it's that there's no one right way to do things. Fitness is all about finding what works for you, your body, your goals, your preferences.
It's about that personalization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So experiment, have fun, and don't be afraid to try new things.
Love it. Well said. All right, folks, that's a wrap for this deep dive into the world of bicep exercises. Hopefully you're feeling inspired and ready to hit the gym with a fresh perspective.
And hey, if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to share it with your friends. Let's spread the fitness love.
Absolutely. All right, until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep those gains coming.